pô. Quem sabe pesquisar na internet, aprendeu a ler e a escrever. Sabe nem ler um português, está falando que a legenda ali em inglês, né, estaria errado, mas tudo bem. Olha ali, galera, link ali, ó, Sky News. Tem Sky na sua casa? Tem internet aí no seu smartphone, no seu computador? Vamos aqui, vou abrir aqui pra galera então o globo.com. Não tô aqui fazendo isso pra provar ninguém não, galera. Mas você vai ver televisão. Deixa de ser... É terrorismo, cara. Realmente eu acredito que é um ato é um ato mesmo de terrorismo. Tá, tô indo já, né? Deixa eu abrir aqui.
And three quarters of the building, but the quarter of the building near the left-hand side bottom, where his flat is, doesn't seem to be affected. He is surrounded by fire to the top.
Na econômica normal, você tem 3 assentos na janela. Na Premium Economy, esses 3 assentos equivalem a 2, para ter uma proporção de quão mais largos esses assentos são e mais confortáveis.
Já essa companhia americana, que também é uma das maiores do mundo, escolheu justamente a rota do Brasil.
Aqui, galera, ó, né? Aqui nem a Globo.com tá ao vivo nesse momento, mas a Rafatec tá ao vivo para vocês, galera. Tá aqui, ó, né? Pode ler aí, o site, link. Olha lá, nem o Globo.com tá ao vivo, hein? Nós estamos, galera. Mundo. Quer ver mais um aqui, ó? BBC.
And ensure those in the most need are treated first and taken to hospital. More information will follow when we have it. So we were just hearing there from Ashish Joshi, who's on the scene.
Isso está acontecendo agora, Gabriel, nesse momento. Bruna, desculpa aí, Bruna, que eu às vezes eu fico meio sem paciência. Os ignorantes da vida.
We've heard from the Met Police that there is an ongoing evacuation process, but they have told people that if you hear from people trapped in the tower, get them to self-evacuate if they can, with a wet cloth over their mouths and get out.
Nem os sites oficiais têm a parada, a Rapatec
Let's
tem.
listen now to from Mahed Igal.
Aí.
We spoke to Ashish Joshi a bit earlier, and he was explaining that he feels
Tenebroso, então tá aí, galera, né? Não se sabe realmente se foi um atentado, ou se foi um acidente. A princípio parece que foi atentado, galera. Eu li, antes de postar, eu procurei ler bastante ali algumas informações e parece que foi atentado, né? Não se sabe ainda o certo. Infelizmente, Gabriel Gomes, que entraram as pessoas, uns 3 aqui eu consegui banir, cara. Eu consegui excluir aqui da página, que não preciso de pessoas assim me acompanhando, não. Quero pessoas do bem. Quero pessoas que saibam o que está falando. Isso aí, Zé Resdino. Então, galera, vou tentar dormir, né? Depois dessas cenas fortes aí. Nem sei se eu vou conseguir dormir, mas já fiz uma oração aqui ao vivo com a galera. Já fiz aqui uma oração ao vivo, não tenho vergonha de orar. Tenho minha fé em Deus, respeito a religião, respeito a crença e a fé das outras pessoas. Então é isso, pessoal. Vou deixar aí transmitindo. Mas eu tô preocupado, cara. Parece que essa estrutura não vai aguentar muito, não. Olha, é muito fogo. Amém, Laura. Muito obrigado, galera. Obrigado aí. Peço desculpas também, tá, pessoal? Que eu fui um pouco duro aqui, fui um pouco ignorante. Tô passando até mal, galera, de coração. Mas é isso aí, pessoal. Né? Espero que tudo fique bem. Espero que tudo fique bem com as pessoas. Mas parece que, pelo que eu li, foi uma explosão e o fogo começou assim rápido, do nada. Essas chamas aí foram rápidas, muito rápido. Não se sabe se deu. Isso está acontecendo agora. Não se sabe se deu tempo das pessoas saírem, né? Galera, lá saí lá em Londres, né? Lá são quase 9 horas da manhã. Se você botar um aplicativo aí que converte o horário, né? Certinho, tem horário lá, deve ser umas 9 horas da manhã lá agora. Então é isso, galera. Tô saindo, vou deixar aqui, tá? Nem coloquei link do meu canal, nem nada, para ninguém falar aí que estamos promovendo em cima dessa desgraça, né? Não precisamos disso, galera. Lembrando que as nossas lives aqui sempre traz alegria. Essa página Rafatec é uma página que quase 24 horas já é uma página ao vivo, né? Toda hora tem um conteúdo pra galera aí. Eu também tenho amigos lá, eu tenho amigos que moram ali em Londres, né? Tenho conhecidos que estão lá. Fico preocupado também até com isso, né? Mas né? O momento que nos resta agora é ter a fé, ter esperança em Deus que tudo fique bem, né? Que infelizmente já aconteceu, só Jesus mesmo. Então é isso, galerinha. Tô indo dormir, peço desculpas mais uma vez. Mas eu acho que, Fabrício, acho que tá errado, cara. Lá nesse momento são quase 9 horas da manhã, não tenho certeza. Acho que é isso que a Bruna botou aí, ó. Então é isso, galera. Fiquem acompanhando, fiquem à vontade. Desculpa mais uma vez por qualquer coisa. Peço desculpas de coração mesmo. Tá, contudo, tenham todos uma boa noite.
Yeah, and that's how we first saw it. And I mean, I've never seen a building this size on fire ever. I've never seen a fire like it. In all the time I've lived in London.
You say it's at the end of your road. How far away from you is it?
It's probably just 600 meters, 700 meters away. From what I've heard, just from people on the street, is it started on the 4th floor and has just spread all the way up and around and over the whole thing.
So, have you spoken to people who are in that building?
I've spoken to some families of families that were in that building, as we've been told to bring water. There was a little shop just at the corner of the street that's just opened up. We've been taking crates and cartons of water and clothes as well. These people have just come out in their pajamas with nothing on their feet. So we've just been bringing coats and shoes and things like that down to the cordon where the police have taken them. I've seen people just outside with their kids, just holding dogs and cats, just bemused, just so shaken. I mean, that's your entire life. You're just sitting there watching your entire life go up in flames.
It happened nearly 3 hours ago. That's when the police said they had the initial report when they were called to that scene. What is the scene now? Are the people still at the bottom of that building? Is there a cordon around it? What's happening now?
Yeah, there's a cordon all the way around. They seem to. I mean, I hope they've got everybody out. I mean, they've taken everybody out. I think they're probably taken them to the leisure centre, which is the closest to it. But the building is pretty much burnt out. There's a tiny bit left that's not on fire, but every single window is gutted. It must be a matter of time before the thing falls down. There's just nothing. There's nothing left of it. There's debris falling off it. The acrid smell is horrendous, and yeah.
Can you just explain to us what that area is like for people who haven't really been around there? What is that area like, Lancaster West Estate?
It's got a very high density population. I think there was about 200 families or something that lived in that block. The streets around are very, very narrow. They're all still quite a Victorian layout. The problem is that we've had a lot of roadworks recently on the main road. There's been gasworks going on, and it's diverted all the main traffic off that main road through these little side roads. So even just on a normal day, these roads are totally blocked, let alone trying to bring 6 or 7 fire engines and ambulances and police cars down it. I think that must have hampered it in some way, just the speed of getting close, because you physically, some of these roads, you physically couldn't get a fire engine down. but with cars parked on both sides.
So you've been listening there to witnesses that I spoke to earlier regarding this fire in Grenfell Tower in West London. Let's talk now to Sophia, who is a witness. Sophia, can you hear me? Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Where were you when the fire broke out?
I was inside my flat. Oh gosh, sorry. Some people, I think, have found someone that survived. Sorry, next to me. Yeah, I was in the flat just parallel, so like immediately in front. At about 1 o'clock, I would see. Okay, someone has apparently come out of the window. About 1 o'clock, I saw. I heard loads of sounds, popping sounds that sounded like someone was shooting. And then I heard loads of sirens. I assumed they were police sirens, but then there were just more and more of them, and the banging sounds got louder and they didn't go away. And then basically I ascertained that this was something serious, so I tried to look out the window to see what was happening. Kept looking down. I didn't realise to look up. When I looked up, I saw about half the building on fire from top to bottom. I've just been told it's a 5-year-old girl that has been taken out of the building. Basically, after that, I literally, by about 1:30, I was right in front, just seeing if there was any way I could help, if, what was happening. And the whole building set ablaze very quickly after that. I would say definitely by 2 o'clock, it was almost as if the whole building was on fire and burning through. I can tell you now that a lot of it has burnt out completely, but there are some windows, some flats that are still blazing. There's actually a man that we can see from a window. One of the local residents has binoculars, and we can see a man from a window trying to get attention of the fire brigade. And one of the local residents went to make sure that they knew that person was there. And they are aware he's there, and they're trying to attempt to use a crane to reach him. So there are still some people alive inside. Earlier on today, I was inside. I was going around the other side of the building. I heard loads of little girls screaming for help. I also heard men yelling, help, help, like extended, long, completely just horrific. And in between, bursts of popping sounds, like explosions, and pieces of material, like large pieces, as well as smaller pieces of ashes just stripping off the building and falling to the ground nearby, but also reaching some of the people standing when I was standing on the side of right next to Latimer Road train station. So yeah, that's what I've seen. I've also heard stories of people that have called from inside the flats and told their family members living elsewhere that they're not going to make it. I heard that one lady had to leave her disabled family inside the building to escape. Just really horrific, tragic stories, really. And it's very personal because everybody in this community, this is a a densely populated area. There are loads of families with young people, and everybody knows everybody else. People have family members and friends in that building, and they're witnessing it firsthand.
Okay, Sophia, just stay on the line. Just very quickly, the Met Police have issued a travel update. They said the A4 is closed in both directions following that fire. Please avoid the area to allow emergency services access to the scene. So the A4 is closed in both directions following that fire. Sophia, I just want to come back to you and pick up on something you said. You spoke of community. Give me a sense of what would have been going on at that time. 12:30, 1:45 in the morning, given that it's Ramadan, the Muslim month of fasting, what would have been happening at that time? Would have lots of people been awake in their flats, out on the streets, breaking fast? What would have been happening?
Yeah, people would be inside their houses. Some people, we would have, so I'm Muslim myself, I had just eaten at 9:30ish, and I couldn't sleep, because suddenly I had a burst of energy after having all this food that I hadn't had throughout the day. And people are trying to drink water. Some people are at prayers. A lot of men are at prayers in mosques. People just generally are not expecting something like this to happen. A lot of people living inside Grenfell Tower are Muslims. There are Somali families, Moroccan families, Eritrean families, a Lebanese family, apparently I heard. So yeah, people are preparing then at around 2:30ish in the morning to start fasting. But we just literally couldn't. We didn't eat. We usually would eat a little meal, light meal, but we couldn't. No one could focus. Everybody was completely transfixed. Everyone in the surrounding houses was just outside, just staring at the building in shock. People holding their heads in their arms. People shaking. People wailing because their family members are in there and they can't get through to them. They're not answering their phones. People, we're hearing people screaming, help, help. And we're seeing the fire spread throughout the building and then fully engulf the building. So the sense of community was that as well. Had people, all different social classes, people living in council estates, low-rise buildings, as well as people living in, terraced housing, coming and looking and just transfixed and shocked. And the general feeling amongst everyone was just shock. Everybody's shocked. Everybody's sad. Everybody is horrified that we were witnessing people dying, basically. That I think was the main feeling, and just everybody hoping that beyond hope that people would be surviving. But then everybody realizing that the shape of the building kind of makes it a bit of a death trap. I mean, really, beyond the 16th floor, I would say, it's pretty much impossible. That has all burnt through. It's impossible for the fire brigade to reach there. I saw at the very beginning one water cannon putting out fire or attempting to cool the blaze on one side, and that only went up to about the 16th floor. And that's where we can see a man at the window, and basically, but beyond that, it's just burnt through. And I was surprised. I thought there would be some, plan in place, like perhaps there would be something from a helicopter, maybe sand or water, a flyby from a plane or something. I don't know what I was hoping for, but I think everyone was hoping for a miracle because we just didn't want to think that so many families would be perishing in this way. But also I can tell you another piece of information, that Kensington Aldridge Academy is immediately in front of this building. So there are loads of children that might be expecting to go to school today, and I would say to them, don't come near this area. It's not safe, but we've heard that perhaps this building will collapse, and there's no saying which direction, so it wouldn't be really safe. And also, there are local centres that people can go to. Latimer Christian Centre. People might be able to go into the Kensington Leisure Centre as well if they need help or if they have nowhere else to go. But yeah, this is an absolute tragedy, and it highlights the need for greater safety protocols. When the Kensington Aldridge Academy was built recently, I think it was completed last year or the year before, they basically redid the cladding on the outside of this building. And this cladding is what everybody has been saying in the community that has potentially been the reason that the fire has spread so quickly. If they'd had, concrete cladding, perhaps that as people speculate they had originally, perhaps it wouldn't have spread so quickly.
Okay, Sophia, thank you so much for talking to us. What is an extremely difficult time. Thank you so much. I want to bring you now, we've got an aerial still. There you go. That gives you a sense of where it is. That is an aerial still of Grenfell Tower, a huge plume of smoke. You can see the bottom of the building and just how much of that is destroyed now that the sun is coming up. Mark White is on the phone. Mark, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Hi, Mark. Morning to you. What can you tell us, Mark?
Yeah, I'm just in one of the many streets, Lopton Street, just about 100 yards or so from the tower block itself. And there's a huge police cordon around here with probably about 100 or so local residents who've been evacuated from their buildings that overlook the tower block here and brought down here. And just within the last couple of minutes, the police have just tried to push the cordon back a little bit as they get a grip of the area here and get more of their resources, and they're able to put a more sterile cordon around the block, because clearly there has to be a concern now that this fire has been raging unchecked pretty much since about 1 a.m. in the morning. About the structural safety of that building itself. And I know that the emergency services are now in the process of talking to and consulting with structural engineers about just how safe this block is likely to be as we go forward. As I say, lots of fire appliances here as well. Pretty much every single street that you go to, and I've been to quite a few to get to this location, there are fire appliances from all over London, from as far east as Whitechapel. I saw fire appliances, rescue appliances. There are high aerial platform units as well, but clearly they're restricting the height they can get to. There's no way they can get anywhere near a 27-story tall building. They're effective for the first few stories, and that is about it.
Okay, Mark, just stay with me. The former Chancellor and the editor of the Evening Standard, George Osborne, he's tweeted, obviously people waking up now to this news. George Osborne has said, just seen this awful tower block fire near my home in West London. My prayers with those affected and heroes tackling it. Mark, I want to pick up on a point you said. You spoke that there are fears for the structural integrity. But we've got Ashish Joshi on the ground there. He's seen someone trapped inside. What are they doing to help these people who are still in there?
Unfortunately, there's a big health and safety issue for emergency services as well. Of course, they want to get to anyone that might be trapped, but they're governed by a set of laws as well for their own protection. So their senior commanders are only going to allow them to go in to try and rescue people if it's safe to do so. Now, I don't know how high up this person was that Ashish saw and whether they're at all reachable by the aerial platform ladders, or whether it's just they're just too high up the building. If that's the case, then that's a real worry, because you can see every single floor from the second floor to the 27th floor has been affected severely by fire. And what I'm told is that the stairwells as well are all engulfed. So it's difficult to see how, if they can't reach by aerial platform, the fire brigade would actually be able to get up to someone. Did Ashish mention how high this person was up the building?
Yes, if you look at the building on the left side, down at the bottom, there are some flats that seem from the exterior still to be intact. And I believe from what Ashish was saying, this gentleman is in there. He's been on the phone. He's been trying to get people's attention. And one of the people that Ashish was with went to the emergency services and explained to them that they'd seen someone in there. So if you look at the building...
He's not in the actual block of flats, is what you're telling me. It's a neighbouring building.
No, he is in the block of flats. But if you look at the block of flats at the bottom, I can't count how many floors up. We're showing it now to sort of the left, down at the bottom. There are some flats that look from the outside that they're still intact, and I believe from what Ashish was describing that the individual is in those flats.
Right, well, I mean, if that is then reachable by aerial platform, presumably
it looks, Mark, that it is,
are aware of these people.
It looks that you could get there. It looks like you could get there from an aerial platform.
Yeah, well, it's clearly a worry if there are still people inside. Certainly, the early reports that we received suggested there were people up, the 11th floor and higher, who were waving out of windows. Now, whether they were able to be reached and brought to safety before the entire building effectively was engulfed in flames, we simply don't know at this stage. The emergency services have enacted their major event protocols, so it's a major incident. They're dealing with that. They will get information out to us as members of the press, but it'll take a while.
Mark, have you been speaking to people who are in that building? How did they say they got out? Did they get out of their own accord, or did the firefighters, did they come in there and get them out?
Yeah, where I am, I've not seen anyone who was actually in the building. It's residents really from the local area, and there are hundreds of those residents who really since the early hours of the morning have been out of their flats for reasons of safety and really just put onto the street. I mean, some have come out because they want, they're aware of all the commotion. There are helicopters flying above here, fire engines on the streets and lots of noise. So some people have just come out for that reason. Others have actually been asked to leave their flats because of the close proximity to the tower block itself. So the people I've seen, lots of people, yes, confused and rather concerned about what's going on. Some of them still effectively in their night clothes, but no one from the building itself have I seen at this stage.
Okay, Mark White, thank you very much. Just to bring you up to date with transport, this building, Grenfell Tower, is in Lancaster West Estate. It's in Ladbroke Grove, close to Notting Hill, Holland Park, and it's close to the Ladbroke Grove and Latimer Road tube stations. We've had an update from the Met Police, and they've said that the A4 is closed in both directions following this fire. Please avoid the area to allow emergency services access to the scene. And that is not only the roads, they're saying the whole area, just avoid it. They've got a cordon down. It's going further and further out as we speak. Claudia Liza, my colleague, is with me. She has an update now. Claudia, what do you have to tell us?
Yeah, thanks, Kim. Let me just bring people up to date in terms of what they are seeing. You are seeing a fire at a block of flats in the Grenfell Tower on the Lancaster West estate in West London. That's in Ladbroke Grove. Now, this fire, as you can see, has engulfed the building. Now, it starts from the second floor right to the top of this 27-storey building. And you are seeing a lot of smoke. Now, reports we are getting in that the fire is actually calming down a little bit from the bottom down, where the firefighters have been able to reach the fire with the engines and the equipment that they have. So at the bottom of the tower, you are seeing that actually they are making some ways in terms of tackling the fire. It's just reaching the top, and where they haven't been able to reach the very top levels of that tower, that they are still, as you're seeing, they're still dealing with a fire. But you are seeing this fire, which has engulfed a building in West London, the Grenfell Tower on the Lancaster West estate. 200 firefighters are now at the scene. 40 fire engines are battling this large fire. And we are getting reports from police that they are dealing with a number of people who have been injured, largely for smoke inhalation. There's been no details of casualties, but we have spoken to witnesses who have told us that they have thought that there are people trapped in that building. And indeed, we've had our Sky News reporters at the scene saying that they know of potentially one person in that building trying to escape. They're saying they have seen one person trapped in there trying to get out of the building. Now, the advice firefighters and police are giving to people who potentially could still be trapped in that building is to get out. Do not wait. Do get out. Get a damp cloth, cover their faces, and to make sure they leave the building. But yes, just to bring you up to date, London Fire Brigade were called just before 1 o'clock this morning to the Grenfell Tower on Latimer Road, which is on the Lancaster West Council estate. Now, the building in North Kensington is around 27 stories high. We do believe that that fire essentially engulfed the entirety of that building, bar a couple of floors at the base. Now, the building has seen 40 engines attending the scene. This is 40 fire engines from across fire brigades across London are now attending the scene, with 200 firefighters tackling that blaze. And as I've said, police are saying that a number of people are being treated for a range of injuries, including 2 people for smoke inhalation. We've also had London Ambulance Service releasing a statement saying that they were called at around 1:30 this morning to reports of a fire at Lancaster West Estate. Then this is in W11 in the Ladbroke Grove area of London. Now, we've sent a number of resources to the scene, including our hazardous area response team and more than 20 ambulance crews. We're working closely with London Fire Brigade and the Metropolitan Police, with our priority being to get people to safety and ensure they receive the medical help as quickly as possible. Our initial priority is to assess the level and nature of injuries and ensure those in the most need are treated first and taken to hospital. They will provide more information as and when they get that. But as it stands, we have got reports from police that a number of people have been injured. They are dealing with those people, potentially largely for smoke inhalations. There haven't been any reports of casualties as of yet. The fire, it does seem to look like firefighters are making way in tackling the fire, particularly at the bottom of the building. But as you get to the high levels where they had difficulty reaching the fire, that fire does still stand. It is still continuing. We've had the Metropolitan Police, as I said, they've tweeted an update saying residents continue to be evacuated from the tower block. A number of people are being treated for a range of injuries. We've also had the London Mayor, Sadiq Khan, tweeting saying that he has now declared this a major incident at the Grenfell Tower in Kensington, where 40 fire engines and 200 firefighters are tackling that blaze. We've also been speaking to eyewitnesses at the scene. They've said that one person in particular spoke to our correspondent Ashish Joshi, saying that he managed to escape that blaze. He was already awake in the middle of the night, coming to the end of Eid, breaking his fast, and so he was able to hear that fire as it seemed to have broke at the building. He was reportedly saying that he believes that it could have been started by an appliance which exploded. This hasn't been confirmed. An investigation will take place to find out the cause of the fire. But as he's understood it, there was an explosion with an appliance. He was able to get his family out quickly. At the time when Ashish Joshi, our reporter, our correspondent, spoke to him, he said that he believed there were people still trapped within the building, people that he was speaking to in the building, just saying that they were still inside the building and he needed them to get out as soon as possible. The advice that police are giving to anybody trapped in the building is to get out, not to wait for anybody, but to get out, see if they can get a damp cloth and leave the building as soon as possible. But this is the latest we are getting from West London, and where firefighters are tackling a fire on the Grenfell estate, which is on the Lancaster West Tower block in West London. We've also had a travel update for anybody travelling in the area, and the A4 is closed in both directions, and that is following that fire.
Let me jump in there. Apologies. The Met Police have corrected themselves. It's actually not the A4, it's the A40. So the A40 is closed in both directions following this fire, and the Met Police are saying please avoid that area to allow the emergency services access to the scene, because they are still working extremely hard to get this under control and get anyone who's still in that building out. If you're just waking up, you're going to set off on your commute. An update from Transport from London, and they say there's no service between Hammersmith and Edgware Road on the Circle and Hammersmith and City lines. And also the A40 is closed, as the Met Police have said there. So there is no service between Hammersmith and Edgware Road on the Circle and Hammersmith and City lines. An update on the building. This is Grenfell Tower. According to the building, it describes itself as having 120 homes. So one would assume that's 120 flats. It's 27 stories high. It was built in 1974 and then it was renovated between 2015 and 2016. This is according to the association itself. During that renovation, it was given new cladding and windows. And as we look at live pictures from West London, and as we've seen through the morning, this is a fire now that has been raging since 10 to 1 this morning. It's now 5:33 here in London. A lot of the debris has been falling away from that building. And the fire has it's gone from the second floor right up to the top. And as you can see just there in the left of your screen, there is still fire burning. You can see on the left of your screen, up at the top of the building. Fire services are still there. We've seen the hoses in action. And let's go, Claudia, Eliza, you have someone we can hear
Yes,
from
indeed.
now?
Sky News have been at the scene speaking to witnesses, and we've got one we've just spoken to, and Michael was at the scene and was able to see that fire. Let's listen to him.
When were you woken up by the alarms?
No, I wasn't woken up by the alarms at all. They were very, very quiet alarms. I was in bed, I was on the verge of falling asleep, and I smelled plastic. I've got up, I've looked around the flat, checked the plugs, everything was okay. I went to the kitchen to smoke a cigarette. I've opened the window and I heard some woman saying it's getting bigger, it's getting bigger. So I've gone out to the hallway, I've looked through the spire hole, I see smoke everywhere. I've opened the door and the neighbours were there, the people screaming, the firemen said, get down the stairs. So I've grabbed the little girl, grabbed my girlfriend, ran out of the house, just in a pair of boxer shorts and a dressing gown. Someone gave me these clothes. And then this is it, and now we're here.
Hearing from Michael, one of the fortunate people who were able to escape as that fire, as you're seeing there at the Grenfell Tower, engulfed the building. He was able to say that he was able to get out, just quickly grabbed a dressing gown and was able to get out of that building. Indeed, before he, or indeed anybody he was with, were able to be injured. But we are speaking to a number of people who also were able to get out of the building. But Sky News have also reported, and Sky News reporters on the scene are saying that potentially there could be one person trapped in that building. There are reports that they have seen one person in this building on the Grenfell Tower on the Lancaster West estate, where 200 firefighters from fire crews across London have been tackling this blaze overnight. We got reports of this blaze just before 1 o'clock this morning, and 200 fire crews were sent there. Around 40 fire engines were sent to the building when they have been tackling that blaze. As you can see there, smoke, massive amounts of smoke coming out from the building. However, I have to say this is not as bad as what we were seeing earlier on this morning. We saw earlier the blaze completely engulfing this building. Now we are just seeing smoke, largely a little bit of fire around, but towards the bottom of that building where we once did see smoke, it looks like firefighters are making ways.